One of the things that comes up frequently whenever I post stuff about clearing and ready positions and things like that, and in classes when I talk about it, about being able to clear your own home and just do a search, a probe to contact, whatever you want to call it, is how do I train this? How do I develop this skill? And here's how I would recommend you do it, and here's how I did it. I would put a video camera. Now, remember back in the day, right? I would put a camcorder in the room in different places, turn it on, and then I would work the door frame. So from the frame of the door, I would try to clear as much as possible and try to see the camera before it saw me. And then I would go back and watch this footage, and I would do it from both sides of the door frame and move it all around the room, create all kinds of puzzles for myself to try to solve. And I started to learn a few things, which again, my instructors had already emphasized to me, but I needed to experience it. You need that practical application before you go live against a resisting opponent. And doing it with the camera, I quickly learned like closer is not better. The further back I am from that point, that line, remember when we're talking about clearing, there's horizontal lines, vertical lines, and diagonal lines. Typically diagonal are stairs. Horizontal could be the top of the stairs, could be all kinds of different things. And vertical is going to be door frames, windows, stuff like that. And I would work on just how do I best approach this door frame to see everything inside of the room as much as possible inside of that room without anything in there seeing me. That's where the camera would come in. I would start to pick up on, oh, my knee poked out past the door before my eye did, or my head, because my head was turned like this, they saw the top of my head because it's out here, my eye's back here. So this much of my head broke the plane of the door, so I needed to turn my head to get in alignment with the door frame. Little things like that I started to see and pick up on and figure out like, oh, that's what they were talking about. And that was one thing that I did. So that was like the first exercise. And then the second exercise that just naturally evolved out of that first one was, well, what about secondary and tertiary threats? What about a closet within the room, or another door here adjacent when both doors are open? So how do I clear room A without exposing myself to room B? And so there was a lot of challenges. And so what I would do is I'd put the camera in room B and I would work on clearing as much of room A as I could. And then I'd go watch the footage and see like, oh yeah, like my hip or my shoulder or some of my back poked into that room. And so if there had been somebody in there, not saying I'm going to get shot, so I'm not always worried about that. It was just, I don't want them to see me before I see them. And so it was just one of those things where, how do I clear those areas or clear this area without exposing myself to that area too soon or before I'm ready? And so that created some training practices on my part to begin to solve those puzzles. Now, the way I do it now is I just put my phone in there. I just throw my phone in there, prop it up on something, or I put it on a little tripod in different places around the room, and I practice the same thing. How do I clear this space? How do I clear this space without exposing myself to this space? How do I come upstairs? I think of everything that I'm going to encounter, and then I put the phone or the camera in that spot to see. I come to the top of a flight of stairs, there's a landing typically, right? And then there's doors in different areas. And I will see how much of that landing I can clear. So that's my horizontal and vertical, so that's pretty challenging. How do I clear that space safely without exposing myself to secondary, tertiary issues? And at what point do you pick me up from those spaces as I move on to the landing and start to address my first or second door or whatever's open? And then also just figuring out how to move down a hallway and see a closed door, open door. How do I address that? Should I clear the open door first, this closed door? Because again, context. It's my home. And what am I probably going to be clearing my house? What am I responding to when I'm clearing my own home? It's probably going to be a noise, something fell or crashed, or maybe I heard a door open or a window, and those type of things. And I don't want to treat it as if I'm on a team with a group of other dudes equally trained, all geared up, all jocked up, moving through the house with bad intentions. I want to get after somebody. It's a game of visual tag, which brings me to the next one. If you can find somebody like your spouse or someone else and just have them hide themselves in the room and see who sees the other one first. You're basically playing tag visually. And you just call it out when you see them, but you call out exactly what you see. I see your left foot. I see the toe of your right shoe. I see your knee. Different things like that. And then it becomes a game and it's kind of fun. You can spend a lot of time playing this, getting really good at clearing a space, and then you try to see how fast you can do it. Not that speed is something you want to emphasize in a clear to contact or a probe, but you do want to develop the ability to see as quickly as possible everything you need to see so you can move on to the next space. Have fun with those. Let me know what you think. If you have some games that you play to develop this skill, put it in the comments. Let me know about it. I'm always interested in learning new things. And this is one of those skills that it's kind of like Kobe said, you can't get bored with the basics. No matter how much you do this, there's always more work to be done. See you guys on the next one.